All right, President Cyril Ramaphosa, as I've mentioned, will this morning undertake an oversight visit to Ethekwini in KwaZulu-Natal. The president is there to assess the impact of the recent public violence and the deployment of security forces. The president will interact with the provincial government and security forces. President Ramaphosa's visit follows government's engagement throughout this week with different sectors of society, including organized business, interfaith leaders and leaders of political parties represented in parliament. All right, let's now welcome Simphiwe Makhanya, reporter who is in KwaMashu, to give us the latest on that front. Simphiwe, a very good morning to you. Where exactly in KwaMashu are you, and what's happening there?
Good morning to you, Simphiwe. We are at the Bridge City Shopping Center here in KwaMashu. This is one of the sites that the President of the Republic of South Africa will be visiting as part of his oversight visit here in Ethekwini, following, of course, the unrest that has left a trail of destruction in many of the infrastructure that is in townships, in urban areas, in all sorts of areas. Simphiwe, I'm moving out of the shot because I'm just wanting my camera colleague Branomen Tlapo to give you a sense of the extent of the damage that is at this very big Bridge City Shopping Center, one of the biggest in the township of KwaMashu. But now, as you can see, no activity whatsoever. All the shops have been damaged. So we are expecting the President, Simphiwe, to come here to assess the extent of the damage and also to speak to the issue of security forces that have now been dispatched, especially here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, to basically try and quell the tensions that have arisen as a result of this unrest. We know, of course, that the business chamber is estimating that the damage to infrastructure it can now be, estimated to be over 15 billion rand just in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Simphiwe. So that speaks to really a huge, damage that has been seen in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So the president will be here any minute from now, to basically get a sense of how the situation is looking like on the ground, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak to him about the plans that government is going to be putting in place to ensure that the life that we know, goes back to normal. But of course, Simphiwe, any minute from now we expect the president to come and engage the provincial leadership of KwaZulu-Natal as well as the law enforcement authorities to find ways of going about, fixing this problem that has brought the entire province to a standstill, Simphiwe.
Now, Simphiwe, we've seen in Phoenix in particular that the violence has now escalated into racial tensions. The Indian community ostensibly killing the black community, and we're getting unconfirmed reports in other parts of KwaZulu-Natal that white business people are now refusing to serve Africans, saying that they are the cause of the violence that has cost them millions and probably billions. So, in KwaMashu, what have you heard with regards to that? Have you seen such racial tensions, spilling over to KwaMashu?
The issue of racial tensions in Phoenix, Simphiwe, has been, quite a thorny one. For the past few days, we've been reporting on it, even resulting to about 20 deaths that have been reported in that area alone as a result of the racial tensions. We did earlier on speak to the local residents of Phoenix just to get a sense of their view in terms of what is happening on the ground, and both the Indian community as well as the African community basically admitting that there is that problem of racial tensions in that particular area of Phoenix, because it's largely made up of the Indian and the African community, but here in KwaMashu it's largely Africans who live here, so there is no issue of racial tensions where we are. But certainly we are expecting, of course, course, the Minister of Police, who was expected to go to Phoenix to be here together on the ground with the President of the Republic of South Africa, just to give him an update as with regards to the situation that is unfolding and measures that have since been put in place to try and remedy the situation that is happening here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Simphiwe.
And KwaMashu in particular is one of the hardest hit in terms of township economy because it's going to cause a huge inconvenience for residents in the township areas in particular, for their daily living expenses, because they have to take a taxi to town, to get the basic essentials, and which will be a huge inconvenience to them and will come at a huge cost.
It's not only that issue, Simphiwe, it's also the issue of jobs, because
yes.
I'm going to step out of the shot again just to give my colleague Mr. Nhlapo here an opportunity to show you the extent of the damage, because this mall, Simphiwe, employs quite a number of people. Many of
yes.
them are from this community of KwaMashu. And if it is like this now, I can tell you that those who are employed here are probably sitting at home wondering if in fact they still have jobs after the damage that has been caused by these violent protests and looting that has happened in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Up to yesterday, Simphiwe, we did get reports that there were still pockets of protests that were still happening in some parts of the province. But as we speak to you now, our understanding is that the situation is relatively calm. No violence has now been reported up in this morning in particular. But of course, these sporadic protests, it dies down for quite a while, and then you hear reports again. But we hope that the president will be able to give us tangible plans in terms of how law enforcement authorities will be able to deal decisively with this situation, Simphiwe.
What can you tell us about the cleanup operations in the different parts of KwaZulu-Natal? Because we've seen here in Gauteng, in some parts of Gauteng which have been badly affected by the looting, cleanup operations have been halted. Some companies citing that the insurance assessors still need to come and assess the damage, and some have been told that it is still a crime scene, and cleaning up would essentially be tempering on the crime scene. So just give us an update on the cleanup operations in KwaZulu-Natal.
Well, in some parts of the province, Simphiwe, Umlazi and KwaMashu in particular, we have been getting reports that community members have taken it upon themselves to try and basically fix the infrastructure that has been broken, and also to ensure that what remains is actually cleaned up. I'm going to step out of the shot because I see a few vehicles making their way here. Cleanup operations, Simphiwe, are essentially now underway in most parts of the province, but it is going to take some time, to get things back to normal, because it's not the issue of the debris that you see on your visuals right now as I talk to you, but it's also the issue of the damage to infrastructure. How long is it going to take for these businesses to rebuild the infrastructure that has now, been damaged, Simphiwe?
All right, Simphiwe Makhanya, I'll leave you at that. And thank you so much for your updates. We'll be crossing back to you a little later on. There is a reporter, Simphiwe Makhanya, speaking to us live from KwaMashu, wherein some cleanup operations are underway. Now, the acting minister in the presidency, Kumbunzo Ntshabeni, says police are now tracking down 11 alleged instigators of the violent looting in KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. This follows the arrest of one suspect.